have. Like, are we sold that he's the guy? We could talk about Trey Lance and riding with Trey Lance, and I can't put Sam Darnold above Trey Lance. Like, that would be a worst-case scenario for the 49ers. And if everybody's saying that, hey, just trade Trey Lance, then what the hell are you going to get for him? If Trey Lance can't beat out Sam Darnold, what type of compensation do you think you're going to get for Trey Lance?
How many trades we always say this every year. We do this with Jimmy Garoppolo. If someone gets hurt in training camp, how many actual training camp trades are there?
I don't think there's a lot. I think guys just get cut.
That's what I totally agree with you. Like, to me, that's such a media-based narrative.
Yeah,
you just trade that guy. You trade that guy.
I don't buy it.
Yeah, I don't either. Like we're just praying for injuries, and then teams get super desperate. Like, even then, like, they don't want to get rid of valuable draft capital down the line. Like, if your quarterback does go down, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say, hypothetically, you're the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
You giving up a first-round pick or a second-round pick for quarterback X, who's the second or third stringer on another team? No. You're not. You're just not. So I find that to be funny. I find that to be a laughable concept. What are the Brock Purdy?
Well, let me read a couple from the text line. Let's get them involved
because I got specific ones, and it's going to sound like I'm super nerdy, and I don't mean to be.
All right, so 925 Comcast Business text line. Brock Purdy makes too many prayer throws. Like in the Bucs game, they resulted in touchdowns, but also could result in underthrown picks. Prayer throws. Now, we always highlight the interceptions or the mistakes of Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. We've both been guilty of that. Brock Purdy got away with an interception in that Tampa Bay game on a very questionable call that could have flipped that football game. Reverse the call. Niners go down to score. I believe they go up 21-0 at the time. Could be wrong. Could have been 28-0. He got away with it. He got away with some throws in the Dallas Cowboys game over the middle of the field.
So you're kind of going to my number one. I think the number one right now for me in terms of number one thing is I thought as the final 3 games approached the season, I noticed him being a little predictable and not noticing, and Jimmy did the same thing in the 2019 playoffs as we got toward the end of the year. Defenses were a little more sophisticated, a little more disciplined, and he didn't see that underneath linebacker sitting in zone coverage waiting on the slant where they like to really attack the field.
Seattle dropped the pick.
Dallas Cowboys,
multiple. Right in the middle of the field, right in that area of the field you're talking about.
Right.
They got away with a couple things.
And to me...
Hell, they got away with something in Thursday Night Football against Seattle where Quandre Diggs dropped an interception. Could have flipped that game with the Seahawks down 7-3.
When you're very predictable, whether it's the eyes locking in or you keep throwing to the same targets on the field, teams start to adjust to that. And I thought that as the book went out more on Jimmy Garoppolo, it became very evident that he was going to attack certain spots on the field. And if you were just in that area every once in a while, ball was going to be coming right towards you as a linebacker waiting on it.
Yep.
Now, I think he can clean that up. We're acting like Joe Montana didn't throw picks. Of course he did. Joe Montana actually had 3 turnovers in the NFC Championship game of the catch, right? No one remembers that. Joe Montana threw one right into a Bengals defender in the second quarter of the famous comeback, with 2-minute drive game.
Super Bowl 23.
The guy
he did
just
that in
dropped it in the end zone.
Third quarter he did that.
Excuse me.
Third quarter, yep.
Yep, just dropped it in the end zone, but he didn't catch it. So, his interceptionless Super Bowl record stands. The other area, and I don't know how important this is because I don't know how often you need to attack this in a Shanahan offense. Same thing as Jimmy, attacking beyond the numbers, down the field, 10 to 25 yards. The deep outs, the flags, some of those types of throws. You saw a little bit of it.
So he threw a dime to McCaffrey that Tampa Bay game.
Absolutely.
Down that sideline.
Absolutely. But I don't know how often you can go to that well. Now, I don't even know how much Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen are throwing that pass. But to me, though, like in terms of like strengths and weaknesses, I don't think it's a strength.
No.
But that might be one of his weaknesses. And then the last one, and this is kind of more nuanced, when he's rolling out and he senses pressure, he got real predictable in the Dallas game, and the spin out left, rolling to his left, I worry that he thinks he's a little more athletic than he is, and I worry that he's going to get chased down and they're going to send some blitzes on that left side and he's going to run into some predictably. I'd like to see some adjustment from him on that. I mean, these are tiny, tiny little minor things that I believe he can work out. I mean, I feel like a hater even bringing these up.
No, it's just assessing the situation. 925, loving the football talk as far. And it's just, of course, this is a Comcast Business X line. As far as the quarterback situation, I feel a whole lot better about Brock if he had a full training camp as a number one quarterback.
Agreed.
That is something that's interesting.
A full offseason.
Full offseason, because think about Jimmy Garoppolo not having a training camp and how long it took him to get up to speed. You know, when you don't have these training camps and you're hurt, you're in that other lineup, that messes up the rhythm. George Kittle didn't partake in training camp. Messed up the rhythm of the team the first few weeks of the season with Trey Lance. That was just last year. Deebo Samuel a couple years ago. Foot injury, not partaking in practice. He's out of shape. He gets hurt that year. He needs a camp. I would like to see him in a camp against the number one defense to get up to speed, Brock Purdy. But I also don't want to see him rushed. And if Trey Lance is the guy that you thought he was at number 3, you can't get past a couple teams in September. You can't get past the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, the funniest
you can't get past the Rams or the New York Giants with Trey Lance in the first month of the season. Is he that bad?
Well, no, my favorite is like, you can't get off to a bad start. Yet they did twice, and still went to the NFC Championship game. And people say, Joe, but they were on the road.
Yep.
All right. Getting the number 1 seed in the modern NFL, really difficult.
Very difficult.
Like right now, even if Brock was healthy and QB1, to get the number 1 seed, we would all agree, a lot has to go right.
Well, 1, you have to win your division. That starts first.
Yes.
2, you have to go at least 3-1 against the AFC North. That's Cincinnati, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland. I think that division is going to be stacked and tough this year. Really, Deshaun Watson, I think he's going to remind people of how good of a quarterback he is. I'm not going to talk about the person of Deshaun Watson because, you know, we know things happen with them. But as a quarterback, I expect them to be a lot better this year with the Cleveland Browns. That's number 2. And then Philadelphia is on the schedule. Dallas is on the schedule. Some tough teams, some big boy teams. Philadelphia is the odds-on favorite to get home field advantage in the NFC. But we keep talking about their defense, the 49ers, that is. Their great defense, their great running game, and it travels. They can win road playoff games. I prefer to have an NFC Championship game at Levi Stadium because we've seen what's happened the last 2 years. But they can win road playoff games. It is possible.
I agree with that. Can we also agree, if you're going to get the number 1 seed in the NFL, you're going to have to win at minimum of 13 games?
Yeah.
13-4 feels like if we're just now things can happen and it can be a 12-5 and you win some tiebreakers. Minimum 13 games. Bonte, they won 13 games in 2022, which was last year, and they rattled off 10 or 11 to end the year, I believe, and they did it in 2011. Those are the only times since Joe Montana and Steve Young that they've done it. They've done it twice.
Right.
So to say that, you got to win every single game at the beginning of the year, and to win 13 or 14 games is just really difficult. A 12-5 season, given the 17-game schedule, even if Brock was playing week 1, that'd be a great year.
Yep.
That'd be a great year. So everybody losing their minds about week 1 and week 2, and I'm guilty of this every single year. We lose our minds, and I do it at every single turn because every game means everything. But dude, they've been 3-5, I believe, in 2021.
Yeah, but I'm tired of seeing that.
They were 1-3 last year.
I don't think you can fall behind the 8 ball with this team. And you look at the schedule.
But to say that they're going to go undefeated at the first month of the season isn't. That's
but
not.
All I'm saying is you can't go 3-1. You can't go 4-1 this year. When you look at the Niners schedule,
you say if let's say Brock misses a couple games.
Say if Trey Lance starts,
okay, or Darnold,
I guess you got.
I'm just throwing it out there.
First 4 games at Pittsburgh, against the Rams in L.A., which will be a 49er home game. Thursday Night Football against the New York Giants, and then Week 4 at Arizona.
You should be a minimum
at
2-2.
home against Arizona.
I would say a minimum of 2-2.
Arizona's in a complete rebuild.
I know, but let's say minimum of 2-2. Home opener for Pittsburgh is going to be a tough game, just because they're Pittsburgh.
Yep.
And we still don't know about Kenny Pickett. I like Najee. That
defense is tough.
Yeah, T.J. Watt.
But the Rams, Giants, and Cardinals.
The Rams are also. It's McVay. He's going to be fired up. They got a lot to prove.
The Niners own the Rams.
I know, but it's early in the season.
But the Niners own the Rams.
I agree.
Road game is going to be a home game for the Niners.
I'm just saying, Bonte, minimum 2-2.
Minimum.
That's what they have to. That's
And you
the
know
mindset.
what? If they're 2-2 at
fine.
minimum, they're fine. But that's a disappointment in the first quarter of the season.
You're demanding 4-0?
They will be favored in every single game.
Probably.
Oh, they will be favored in every single game.
Do they have the better quarterback? Brock, Trey or Darnold versus Stafford?
Yeah, they don't have the best, but
How about
defense
Daniel
with
Jones?
the Rams. I don't even know about Daniel Jones.
I don't either.
I don't even know.
But
I don't know
Daniel
how
Jones,
good he
actually.
is.
He actually really. I came around on Daniel Jones last year.
I don't know how
Not
good
that
he
he's
is.
something special, but
Now,
I think you can win games with him.
Giants will be tough, though. They will be tough.
That's what I'm
That'd be
saying.
a tough opener.
Thibodeau's a baller.
Darren Waller now's there. Saquon Barkley. We'll see if he signs and comes into training camp. That defense, Kayvon Thibodeau played very, very well. I like Kayvon Thibodeau. I like that defense. Who's the young man in the middle? Was it Dexter Lawrence at D tackle?
Dexter Lawrence.
He's
The
he's a
second,
monster,
I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's a monster. So you can't get at least 2 wins if it's Trey or Darnold.
Well, that's what I'm saying. 2-2.
I want to get greedy with 3-1.
B. That's bar. That's the bar for me. 2-2. Anything above that, great. Anything below that, not good enough.
Well, here's a great question, too. Get the hate of Darnold and Brock out of here. I don't hate Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy won me over. Brock Purdy played. He won me over so much, I thought the Niners were going to Philadelphia and winning the AFC Championship game. I truly believe Brock Purdy was going to go in there and become the first rookie to win an NFC Championship game and go in there and lead the Niners to the Super Bowl. I felt that in my heart flying into Philadelphia. I thought they were going to win the football game because I felt confident in Brock Purdy. So I don't hate Brock Purdy.
Here's another one, and this is interesting from the 415. Didn't teams have tape on Jalen Hurts and he had a breakout sophomore year? I think everybody on the team included, everybody would say he took a quantum leap forward as a passer from Alabama to Oklahoma to the Eagles, and then from his time we all saw him. What was it, week 3?
Right. Yeah,
Niners, week 3 the year before. And by the very next year, completely different player.
Different.
Now, he had an entire offseason.
Oh, yeah, it was week two that year.
Week 2, sorry.
Week 2.
He had an entire offseason. They added A.J. Brown, which clearly helps.
Devontae Smith got better?
Absolutely. But Jalen, as a passer, took quantum leaps forward. And that's this. Look, when you have a full offseason and you can throw and you can train, I think that's where I'm a little sad for Brock. It's like, damn, I really wanted him to have this offseason to take another quantum leap forward.
Yep, to get stronger and all that stuff and work out with Brandon Ayuk and Deebo
part
Samuel.
of why Trey Lance didn't take a leap forward, you could say maybe he's just not good enough, but I think part of it is the injuries.
Here's
affecting the throwing and things like that.
Yeah, I'm with you. Here's an 80-second cut on John Lynch about Brock Purdy hitting his markers. We'll talk to David Lombardi in 12 minutes from The Athletic. Does a great job covering the 49ers. He's been at OTAs. He'll break down Brock Purdy. He'll break down what he's seen in camp, in practice so far with Trey Lance and Sam Darnold. Here's what John Lynch had to say on Sirius XM NFL radio about Brock Purdy.
He's hitting all the markers. It's a little difficult in that this doesn't happen to NFL players as much as it does in baseball, which his surgeon is a surgeon who primarily it's why he's so experienced in Major League Baseball. And I think Brock was smart, and we kind of facilitated that he met with a bunch of different surgeons. Dr. Meister, the Texas Rangers doctor, is the one that he chose because of his vast experience and expertise with this injury. But, there's certain markers that you hit. He was 12 weeks out, and that meant it was time to throw. He did so and responded really well. He's just had one session thus far, but, we're incredibly encouraged by that. And Brock's a worker. If you give him a task, he's gonna do everything in his power. So these are just timelines, and timelines are just that. They're guidelines, but, when I say tracking well, it's just he's hitting all his markers, and it doesn't surprise us because he's putting in the work. And as for best case scenario, we're just going to kind of take it as it comes. But I mean, the hope is he's ready for training camp. The hope is he's ready for the regular season. But what I can tell you is, I mentioned Trey, I mentioned Sam. We feel good about that position holistically. So we're not going to do anything to put, Brock not in a situation where he's not fully healed.
So that's John Lynch on Brock Purdy. And with all that said, it does sound like Brock's going to be a QB1. I think he earned that. He's had more tape than Trey Lance. I'll give Brock Purdy that. He should be the starter if healthy. I got two questions here.
Okay.
I guess
Give me
one
the first
is,
one. Give me
I
the
guess
first
one is, what if Trey or Darnold gets off to a very hot start?
Great.
I mean, what do you do?
What do you mean? Like, what do you do?
What
Cross that bridge when we need to.
Oh, okay, all right.
That's just the way I would be taking
all right,
it. That's
all right.
the way I would be taking
That's
it.
fair.
Like, what does it look
That's
like?
fair.
Right? Because I think it's one thing to say, like, hot start. It's like, okay, well, what does that look like?
Hot
Did
start,
they win
10
the game?
touchdown passes, 2 interceptions, guys averaging 260 yards a game passing. Offense is moving, it's humming.
Are they throwing early in the game?
Yeah,
Are
all
they
that stuff.
throwing late and they're already up big?
Right.
Like, so there's context to everything.
So then
what does it
number
look
two-
like? That's the thing with Brock. It's like, and this is what a judge said. I know pornography when I see it. That's the definition of it, right? Brock's like, when you saw it, you're like, yeah, that's what it looks like. So with Trey or Sam Darnold, we will know with our eyeballs if that's what it looks like.
So they hope that
At least
Brock
you
Purdy,
feel like that.
Yeah, no doubt. They hope their Brock's ready for the regular season. So Brock, if he is QB1, and we talk about this core group, we talked about the Warriors' last dance. Is this the last dance?
Yeah.
How long is this going to last? The Niners just selected 2 tight ends, one out of Oklahoma, one out of Alabama. All right? Trent Williams has hinted at retirement the last couple years.
35?
35, 36, maybe on his
He's
last
so
leg.
old.
Yeah, I know.
As I look around the room at guys who are older than him, God.
So
I hate the way we talk about athletes. He's so old.
I don't know about right tackle.
Just don't.
I don't know about right tackle.
Right tackle?
I
I'll tell you
don't know
this.
about center.
I have no clue about right tackle, which to me is the biggest hole on the team.
But if Brock Purdy is him, as the kids like to say, he's him.
Well, they call him Himothy now.
Himothy.
Yeah, that's what
Okay.
the boys on my group thread. It's that and bet. Everything's bet.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. But yes, they call it Himothy.
So if Brock
Yeah,
Purdy's
I
that
hate
guy,
that.
should we?
So Brock's Himothy.
So he's Himothy. Should we expect?
I love hearing you say that.
Should we expect the Niners to go to the Super Bowl? If Brock Purdy's that guy, let's say Super Bowl roster. Because last year the pushback was, why are we starting Trey Lance when we have a Super Bowl roster? It should be Jimmy's job. Remember that was coming out of camp.
Well, here's the thing I worry about is because I think just in general, if you really like Brock, I think like the worst thing that could happen is he comes back and he's not looking so good. I'm doing the Steiny now. And then, he struggles a little, but the team's winning. And then you benched a hot hand and everyone's like, I don't know. It doesn't really look right. But you want to give him enough leeway because he is coming back from a serious, that's the thing that I keep coming back to. Y'all, this is a serious injury. To think that anyone would come back and like, they're good to go. Like, dude, Russell Wilson's 2 years removed from that finger injury, and we still don't know if he's right.
So David Lombardi is going to join us in 7 minutes. And again, the narrative coming out of training camp last year was, boy, is Trey ready to go because we have a Super Bowl ready roster. That was the narrative coming out.
I never liked that narrative.
But it was a narrative, and it was a thing with everybody out here. It was a thing with the national media. It was a thing with the fan base. This is a Super Bowl ready roster. We don't have time to develop a quarterback.
Narrative.
Okay, that's fine.
Narrator.
That's fine.
They did not make the Super Bowl.
No, they got to the NFC Championship game. But they have a roster that is capable of making a Super Bowl. They have a loaded roster.